One free agent signing that we think is coming that we haven't talked about at all, and it really impacts the division. The Broncos are in the AFC West. Is Jeremy Maclin, a really good wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, leaving Philly to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs, the one place the Chiefs had this glaring deficiency. You do realize that not one Kansas City Chief wide receiver caught a touchdown pass last year. Not one. That's mind-blowing. In this day and age, where the passing game is everything, tell me about Alex Smith, okay? How great a quarterback he is. Not one wide receiver caught a touchdown pass. Jeremy Maclin is going to the Kansas City Chiefs. This could seriously impact this division, don't you think?
Well, let's look at that very carefully. Let's consider the big picture. You're absolutely right. That's a great thing to bring up. I was going to bring it up. They have one wide receiver that's any good. He's getting older.
And they might be cutting him. They might be letting him go. You're talking about Dwayne Bowe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought they re-signed him.
He's due to make a lot of money. They might be letting him go.
Oh, that would be a surprise because they need a couple. Because everybody ganged up on Bowe because he was a 100 catch guy a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. Everybody ganged up on him. You double team him, you triple team him, and go beat us with those other guys. They lose their center. He's one of the best. He probably was the best center. They
Talk about Hudson going over.
They lost a lot of free agents last year.
And didn't replace him.
Right.
Did not do. They had maybe the worst offseason in all of football last year.
So
Lost a bunch of guys, didn't replace him.
One wide receiver is not going to make much difference to that team. That team's still kind of a knock-around team. The Raiders are going to
pretty good
spend
running
a lot
back,
of
pretty
money.
good pass rush.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but and they had to put a hell of a lot of money into Houston staying.
That's true. But he did lead the NFL in sacks. I mean, he had 22 sacks.
You know what they went up to him and said? Can we say this all together? They went up and saying we're franchising. What was their next line to him? Houston, we don't have a problem.
Not keeping you. No, they paid a lot of money to keep him. You know who disagrees with you? Who thinks the Kansas City will be formidable?
Oh, well, whoever.
Very formidable. Well, a guy. It's a guy who we're both friendly with. Sal Paolantonio did an interview with the Chiefs website, kcchiefs.com, and made a very, very bold prediction. Are we ready to roll this tape? Listen to this tape from Sal Paolantonio recently.
I think this is a big year for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it'll be a down year for the Denver Broncos. I think the Chiefs are going to win the division based on what I've seen from their progress in the last 2 years under Andy Reid and the strength of their schedule. I think they're in a really good position to win the division, break out and win the division this year. Year 3, Andy Reid, Alex Smith, with Peyton Manning, 39 years old. You're going to win the division. Mark it down.
Yeah, well, we are.
How about that? Mark it down.
Well, let's give a little background.
That's
on
before.
Sal.
He gave that interview before they signed Jeremy Maclin. He had no idea the Chiefs would sign Jeremy Maclin.
Sure. And he probably gave it before he knew Peyton Manning was coming back. But Andy Reid, where did he coach before he coached in Kansas City? I kind of forgot.
Philadelphia.
Where did Sal live?
Philadelphia.
Okay, all
and
right,
covered Andy Reid for
yeah.
all the years Andy was there.
Yeah, and I love Sal, and we're good friends.
And I'm very friendly with Sal, too. I invited him onto the show, but he's on vacation this week.
We had him on the show during the playoffs.
We did. Yeah, Sal will come on most any time unless he's on vacation. But
he should be on vacation.
He called Andy Reid the quarterback whisperer. He loves for some reason, Sal Paolantonio loves Alex Smith and thinks that Andy Reid is going to turn Alex Smith into something he hasn't been the first 11 years of his career.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you point blank. Would you say today, and free agency hadn't even officially started, signings, but we know what's happening, what the Kansas City Chiefs done, the Oakland Raiders have done, and the San Diego Chargers are going to do, they're going to steal away the Broncos' starting guard. And although there were a lot of complaints, Orlando Franklin graded out higher than anybody else last year on this team. Maybe he's not perfect for the
zone blocking,
one-cut zone blocking offense, but they're improving. Broncos haven't improved a lick today at this moment. So if you're watching this tonight, maybe you can say, well, he's wrong. Well, today at what time is it? 2:30. They haven't improved a lick. There's been no announcements. The best we got to talk about is they brought in a guy who doesn't belong in a 3-4 system to talk to him.
Langford,
they brought in a guy who's a fullback, special teams, tight end kind of guy out of Philadelphia, whose name I've already forgotten.
Casey?
Well, I was going to say Casey. Yeah, because Clay's the guy from the Dolphins that I thought they'd have
Right.
some interest in. James Casey, yeah, who played under Kubiak. That's why I'm a little bit more surprised. I think they would be going after old Houston guys. Not old, but former. Houston guys that played under Kubiak. So I'm a little bit surprised
your
by
question to me is,
Today, at this moment, how would you rate the teams? Today.
they're,
In the division. In the division.
what their finish will be?
Yeah.
I still think the Broncos are the best team in the division.
Okay, so you and Sal disagree.
Yeah, I think Kansas City is number 2, San Diego is number 3, and the Raiders are a distant fourth still.
Well, Sal's wrong and you're wrong. It's the
No,
Denver
you think
Broncos.
it's the Chargers, and then
Yeah,
because of the
Chargers.
quarterback.
Yeah, and I think that in the Chargers going to get Orlando Franklin.
Well,
they needed a guard since their guard came to the Denver Broncos.
You know how we talked earlier about the Miami Dolphins possibly signing Sue, and why they did that relative to their quarterback? I think the same thing is going on in Kansas City. Kansas City realizes they've got Alex Smith. He's not a top 10 quarterback. He never will be, not this late in his career.
He's a manager.
So you've got,
Yeah.
right, he's a game manager. So you've got to surround him with as much talent as possible and take some of the pressure off the quarterback and the offense to produce. That's what they're doing in Miami as well. Tannehill is not a top 10 quarterback, so give him a better defense. It should make them more competitive.
What are the Broncos going to do when Peyton retires? Are they going to have to do that? Are they going to have to go out and get?
Yeah, they might,
kind of,
but they're going to have the money to do it too, because they're not going to be paying Brock Osweiler 19 or now 15 million a year.
Well, what are they going to have to pay him? He's got to get a new contract. He can walk next year.
Well, a fifth-year quarterback who hasn't had any starts, but he's going to be your starter, probably somewhere between $7 and $9 million a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
You're
You
not
think
being,
more?
You're not being so. No. You're going to pay a guy who hadn't started, who hadn't proven a damn thing? You're
Yes.
going to pay him $7?
Yes. You know
that
why?
is-
You know why?
That is rubbish.
'Cause he can go
That
somewhere
is
else, Woody.
Rubbish.
He
Well,
can
I
go
don't care.
somewhere else.
Hello. Goodbye. 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 Yeah, we can get Mark Sanchez here. Mark Sanchez going back to Philadelphia.
Whoop-de-doo.
Did you hear? I got a rumor for you that I don't think there's any truth to it. Nick Foles for Jay Cutler? Would
Yeah,
you
I
do
saw
that deal
I saw that.
if you were Chicago?
Jay Cutler is not set in Chicago, by the way.
Oh, he's probably gonna
Because
be
they've
fine.
got a date coming up here real shortly where they're going to have to pay him, where his contract is set in stone, and it's not just a one-year deal. It's 2 more years, and I don't know if Chicago has the stomach for 2 more years of Jay Cutler.
And I have a feeling about Chicago. I believe John Fox has a lot more power with the Bears than he had with the Broncos.
Well, he's got a first-time general manager in place.
He doesn't have a person
He's got
like
a much
John
stronger.
Elway who-
He's got a much stronger resume than the GM does.
That's what I'm saying.
And a lot of people are looking at John Fox as a savior right now.
John Fox had no power in Carolina. He had no power in regard to free agents, stuff like that. He had no power. In fact, his owner, Jerry Richardson, and John told me this, Fox, told him 2 years before he got fired and left and all this stuff happened, you cannot sign any of your assistant coaches to 2-year contracts. John Fox had no power there.
Yeah.
He had no power here. There's still a debate. He claims he made the move to Tebow. John Elway claims he made the move to Tebow. Who would you guess really made the move to Tebow?
I'd bet on number 7.
Yeah, okay. The only thing about it, when John Fox was trying to flex his muscles a little bit by not dressing Cody Latimer, how do you go through most of the year without dressing your number 2 draft choice, who is considered a good possible?
Well, or the offensive lineman Schofield when you had problems on the offensive line all year.
At least try.
And he was a
for
fairly
game.
high draft
They're
choice.
bringing back Cornick, which kind of surprises me.
Yeah.
I thought he was a doofus at right tackle. Did you like him at all? I mean, they got him out of the lineup pretty quickly.
I thought they had problems at right tackle all year, whether he was playing there or not.
Well, but they tendered him, and
Yeah.
he's coming back.
Well, maybe they see him as a
Surprising.
development guy. He's still very young.
Well, they have Garland.
Maybe they see potential there.
No, well, that's the best you got? Is maybe they see potential there?
Hey, there was a.
So I put San Diego Chargers second. I put the Chiefs third. I totally disagree with Sal. This is not the Chiefs' year. They don't have a. They have He's probably the 14th. I put him in the middle. He's a Cal Orton type without an
It
arm.
will
like
never
Cal
be
Orton.
the Chiefs' year as long as Alex Smith is the quarterback.
But
Period.
They haven't had a quarterback since Joe Montana left.
Well,
almost.
then that's why it hasn't been
And he
the
was
Chiefs'
there
year
only a
for a
couple
lot of
years
years.
ago.
All right.